I received a question from a listener about website design and if you're a newbie and how long website design takes, and I'm going to talk through it. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. I have not recorded in a couple of weeks because we've been away, what have you. The next 2 weeks are basically like full on prep week because if you remember, I actually released a podcast episode. I think it was a podcast episode and an Instagram post about like how I prep to go away. And we have our trip coming up, which means the next 2 weeks are essentially like any project I have open is going to be closed, aka finished. And well, as much as I can control, obviously, and having to prep for the first of the month as well, because we're going to be leaving before July, but then getting back mid-July, well, second week of July. And, you know, honestly, I have like tossed the idea in my brain. I'm like, am I going to brick my phone the entire time I'm in Switzerland? I've like genuinely thought about it. I think what I might do is brick it during the day. And like, if I have time to look at work stuff, I'll look at work stuff, but I have considered, I think I may be bricking my phone. And if you don't know what that means, there's a brick device. You can look it up on Google, whatever. And it just like blocks apps on your phone. And I think I'm going to block work apps when I'm there. I work with the best people. Like I need to just say that out loud. I work with the best people. So I already know that most, all of them are going to likely be like, I'm going to send something to you and I hope they do. And they're just going to assume that I'll get to it when I get back. So by all means, like I hope everyone realizes that like, I know that I work with the best people and no one is going to be like, hey, I know you're on vacation. Please answer me. I know that. I've done a couple episodes about my mental capacity and awareness around it and like how I actually am able to like step back and, listen in when needed. And it comes from a place of like actually taking time away. So I'm trying to take time away, one, because this will never happen again, but I have not had a genuine vacation where I have not worked since December, early January when I take my typical winter break there. And yeah, I'm feeling that. But also too, I just want to not be in doing work when I'm in Switzerland. I just wanted to enjoy the time. And then if we have the time, the capacity to sit down and do something at the end of the day, because like there is downtime, of course, then I might open up work just to check in on things. But, I do take my off time, my downtime pretty seriously at this point. So I'm going to bring my brick. I'm going to bring it and leave it at the house. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's so odd that like you have to even think about it. Like I know in corporate world, people they go on vacation and they don't open up their laptop till they walk back in the office. And, I've already said, you can create that environment for yourself by doing things like I'm like breaking your phone, whatever. But like you just can't get past, sometimes you can't get past the mental game that it is of just not responding to notifications. And anyway, that's a whole story for another day. So any personal biz updates, I did send out in my monthly recap email. I was like, this is it. I sent out my monthly recap email the 1st of June. And I did mention like, I'm full. I'm not taking new clients. So I have a wait list for my retainer services. I'm actually decreasing work hours in a certain aspect of my business. And then I am, at the end of the day, just, I'm trying to optimize a few things so that I can eventually do more on my side of stuff and my side, just not executing tasks and like really building building out the not done for you side, even though that is my signature service. So just working on some of that stuff behind the scenes. I am personal stuff, obviously, like the trip is coming up, but other than that, nothing too big. I will say Shante and I we're doing a lot of collaboration on sites where she does the messaging help for people. And then I will make the site look great. And so people are, working with her on the messaging side and then implementing those changes. And then I'm able to put it on the actual website to make it look good. And I will say it's been really great. I really love doing it. I love how we're working together on websites now. And it's been so helpful for both my people and for me building sites too. Just all the things. I'm just really happy. And, I'm ecstatic about how that's going. So if you are someone who is looking for messaging help and you're like, but once I change my messaging or I alter my messaging, I don't want my site to get messed up. I love doing that at this point, implementing those changes. And because again, like you might be thinking, why do you need to do that? Well, when you change the amount of text on your site, or if Shante were to, suggest a different layout for your website, you have to then implement that on your website editor. So if that's not something you want to do or feel confident doing, then that can be something that, I could help you with. So just throwing it out there, but also throwing it out there that my availability is complete crap until August, just because with our vacation in July, all of my clients get pushed back to a later time in the month. So I'm not, it's just one of those things where I don't have the capacity to take on a ton of people because of work getting pushed back with a vacation. So just for what it's worth. But really do enjoy that. And it's been so fun getting to do that. Just excited. So with that being said, I'm just going to jump straight into the episode because it's I received a question in my Q&A box. I'm going to be spending the next couple of weeks answering those because it's easy for me to answer on a podcast. I also had some questions come in via email that I am either answering on my blog or here. So when you ask a question, it's anonymous via the email system that I have. So I have like a little ask me anything. You can click that and ask it. But it is anonymous. So it's one of those things where if you have a question to ask, you can ask it there and you don't want me to know who you are. But that also means that I can't let you know that I answered it. So you have to like check my content and see if I've answered your question or not. So for what it's worth, if you're one of the people who sent me an email, I did answer one question on my blog already. And that was about SEO and changing your domain name and business name and rebranding. And that's on my blog now. So you can go read that if you wanted to. With that being said, I'm like answering questions. Okay. So for the question that I was going to ask today, the question that was asked was, does making a website from scratch for a newbie take a lot of hours? And that is a question that I feel like I can answer pretty quickly, but also I want to elaborate a little bit. So, it's not that it makes, so when it comes to one of the things I've talked about before on the podcast is that I think people who are not necessarily good at something, which is fine, by the way, like it's okay to not have a skill, will say that, they should be able to do this task even though they don't have the eye for it. So an example that I like to use is interior design. So I am really bad at that. I can't visualize a space. I can't say like, oh, a table should be here. You should have a pillow here. You should have this color pillow. You should have this piece of artwork. Like the wall should look like this. I say I'm not good at that. I don't have the eye for that. And the other thing that I would say I don't have the eye for is an artistic website. So if you've, been around the block, you've probably seen photographers' websites. Sometimes website designers do it. And I actually think it's like, I don't know. I don't enjoy it. But everyone has their own style of website. And my style of design for a website is not artistic. So I'm not trying to do a bunch of site animations. I'm not trying to make, photos be like cut off. But like stylistically, it's like not cut off. It's like, if you've seen a photographer's website, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But my websites in like a Squarespace template, a general Squarespace template on Squarespace, they all err on the side of artsy. And so I always say it's like art versus science. I am much more on the science side of things. Like it's going to be easy navigation. It's going to be balanced. It's going to flow well, but it's not going to be artsy. So for what it's worth, like that is another example that I like to use. So when someone just says like, when I'm designing a website, and I'm a newbie or I'm someone who doesn't know what they're doing, I'm going to just make sure I look at the question so I know that I'm not answering the wrong thing. Does it take a lot of hours and you're building it from scratch? I would say yes. I don't think that there's a way around, even if you choose a general Squarespace template, you're going to have to do a lot of designing and moving and adding because no template is ever perfect, even mine. And that's why I include the Q&A call with it. So on the Q&A call, I can like suggest things, move things, whatever. But if you're going to be designing a website from scratch, you're going to have to be moving things and designing things. No template is ever going to be exactly what you need it to be. So it's going to take time to do that. Now, the time then, adds and you have more time considered when you don't have the eye for something. So it's one of those things where I like to say it's not a bad thing you don't have that. It's just a skill that is not in your repertoire, if you will. And so yes, it will add hours. And I think, there are people who have, I'm going to say more tech tenacity and they're faster on different platforms, and that can come into play as well. But one of the biggest things I see is that you just don't know what to put where. And I laugh when I say it because it's like me when I'm looking at a room, I don't know what design what should happen and what should go where and what you need to buy to put here and yada, yada. Like that's just not a skill that I have. And I think it would be more beneficial to just understand that it is a skill, and if you don't have that skill, it's going to take exponentially longer. And at the end of the day, if you don't have the skill, the final product may be something that you don't like. And it's okay, because it would be, just like myself, if I'm, trying to design something for a house or whatever, the outcome is likely not going to be great because I don't have the eye to begin with. And I'm not saying you can't develop that skill. Maybe you can. I don't know. I would just say that some stuff just doesn't come naturally to certain people. And so that would add time. The other thing is like knowing what you're going to be putting on your website, that also takes time. So the words that you put on there, if a text box is a little bit bigger than you assumed it would be, and you like had this pretty template, but then the template doesn't fit how much text you have, that then adds time because now you have to, move things around, redesign things, etc. So I would say if you're building a website from scratch, don't ever start from scratch. You would want to start with a template, and like shameless plug for my templates. I have Squarespace templates that are pretty much almost done for you. You just need to replace the text, and they do come with a Q&A call so that we can go through it together. And so I can, spiff it up, if you will, add some zhuzh to it so it's ready to launch. But I would never start from scratch. I would start with a template. Ooh, that was a big, big hit. Sorry, my elbow just hit the mic, and I'm not even going to edit that out. Welcome to reality here. This is what happens. But what I would do is I would never start from scratch. I would use a template, use a Squarespace template that they have for free, or, I have my paid templates, and then, work from there. And, there are other template shops too. It's not just mine. So, you can look wherever you want to look, buy from wherever, but I would never just start from scratch. And then also just understand, it's going to take time regardless. And then the time then becomes more when the skill is something that you may not be able to see. So if you are not someone who has the vision of what the website should look like or could look like or how to lay it out, of course, that's going to add time. And regardless of what template you buy, you're likely going to have to move something around, or something's going to be a little bit too big for that space or whatever, and you're going to have to move it around after that. So all in all, I would say it does take a lot of time. And I think if you're going to start from scratch or with a template, I think it takes longer than anyone ever assumes it would. I think they undercut how long it actually takes to build out a website, even if you do have a template. And, I've had people launch the templates that I have within 24 hours, which is always like wow, that's amazing. But most people, take some time to do all the things and to get everything all set up. So, at the end of the day, I think you just have to assume it's going to take a decent chunk of time, and then know that, the time will add if there are, moments where you realize like, I don't have the vision and I need to move this thing. And now my tech skills come into play. So the long and the short there is, yes, it takes time. I always think people think it's going to take them a lot less time than it actually does. So plan for more and expect it to take longer than you think it's going to take. But at the end of the day, you need to, in my opinion, I think it's great if you start with a template and you input your content. And even if you have, let's just say a Q&A call with me, or you end up paying someone, even if it's not me, to like do an audit of the site and move things around and make it look great, you at least know how to operate the back end of the website, which is a goal, right? To know how to operate the back end is key, because now you're able to edit it in the future, or at least you just know how to change something. Worst case scenario, you just know how to change your font, or how to change what text is on the site, or how to change a number. And going through that troubleshooting process is never a bad thing, because you're able to see that. And it's just really helpful in the long run. If you can hear Moose, she's barking at God knows what in the background here. And it's a perfect segue to say, that's all I've got for you. Please let me know if other questions pop up. You know where you can ask them: email, DMs. I have the list of questions that were asked in the question box, so I'm going to be attacking those as well. Just give me a shout. And that's all I've got. So thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time.